Okay, in this session what we're going to do is add our boilerplate to our project. Some people feel a little bit lost when the boilerplate doesn't exist. So if I put the boilerplate in, we know that we don't need the body and the close HTML because we know we're working with a PHP server. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep the doctype HTML, we're going to keep the HTML language English, we're going to have the meta information as well. We're going to go down, we've got the viewport, then we've got the document. So in here we can just put like your name and then number guessing game. So now we'll have a title that'll appear in the tab. We're also going to close the head off. So that's our HTML section there. But we don't have to worry about anything more with our PHP. Now we don't have a CSS for our website yet. So let's go create that. So I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call that CSS. And inside CSS, I'm going to add a file and I'm going to call this site.css. Now what I want to do is path to this. So from here, just underneath our title, close title, we're just going to put link and it's going to go, what am I linking to? So I'm just going to select CSS and then we know its relation is the style sheet. Then it's asking, well, where is this CSS styles? Or in our case, we want to go to CSS / and then we want to go to site and then click out of that and then save. Now we don't have anything to stylize yet, so we might want to put something in there. So let's go into our site file and start with the body tag. Now normally anything to do with the body tag, I always put it at the very top because it's sort of like a global, and if you're using a global reset, etc., I normally put that first. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in a background image, but it's going to be gradient. So the body is going to be a background image. This gives you linear feels, and I want a linear one. So we want a linear gradient, and then I can give it some colors. So I'm going to give it a blue color, which is #8EC5FC, which gives me a nice blue color. And I want to do a gradient down to a sort of like a purpley color, which is going to be #E0C3FC. And that gives you a nice little purpley color. We also need to give the page a height. So I'm just going to put in there a height, and that's going to be about 900 pixels. So it's just got a bit of body, and I'm just going to save that, and I'm going to run my web page again. So when I refresh this time, you can see I now have a nice gradient fill. It's a little bit better to work on. Now what we might do is change our title to actually some graphics to make it look more interesting. There's a couple of sites that I use. I like to use one that's called Cool Text. This gives you the ability to make some interesting looking fonts. Otherwise, the next one is the maketext.io, which always generates cool text as well. So if I put in here number guess game, I can go make text cool. Then I can go through and pick some layouts depending on what you want. But I'll leave it up to you to play with this website. I'm going to go back to the other one where I made the original graphics. And I'll select a font like Fun. And then in here, I'll put in number, guess, game. If you don't like the information, you can go to the logo, you can change the color of it. So I might use a gradient, select the gradient. Then I might pick blues to aqua. If you don't like the font, you can actually click on the font, and then you can go through and pick some new ones. This could be a little bit interesting. Let's go with that one. That's a little bit strange. And then what I want to do is save that as a graphic. So I'm just going to drag and drop it on my desktop. I then need to place it on the server, so I'm going to create a folder. So once again, I'm just going to click on the main directory and put images. And then I'm going to drop the graphic into that folder. So there it is, and I'm just going to rename it now. And you want it to be all one word. So I'm going to put title underscore number guessing game, NGG. This way it's a simple file to index, and we can see the graphic there. So this is going to appear in a header, so I'm going to select the header at the top, and at the moment I've only got information about using a H1 tag. What I'm going to do is change the echo to actually put in a title. Now I'm not going to use any PHP in this one, so I can delete this, but what I'm going to do is put in a little comment tag here, and this is going to be page title, just so I know what it's for. And then I'm going to bring in the image, so I'm going to use img. So you notice I'm using HTML without having to have the boilerplate, and that is fine. And I'm going to use the img src for source, and then I'm going to path the source. So I need to put the folder, so I need to go down to images. So from index I need to go into images, then /, then I can pick the file out, which is title underscore NGG, number guessing game, and then the extension PNG, and then I need to close that off. So I'm just going to save that now and refresh the page. To do that, I'm going to go to 192.168.060 index PHP, press enter. There's my number guess game. Alright, at the moment sitting on the left hand side, I want to put that in the center now. To do that, all I need to do is put in the center tags. And once again, also close the center tag off, because if I don't close it, that will be continuous and will affect any of the other includes as it builds the HTML document. And the last thing I want to do is put a break tag in there, just so on the next page there's a little section break. So when I look at my index.php, when it includes this header, there's going to be an extra line break before it starts the main.php. Go back to my page now. Notice the gap there. When I refresh, it's centered and we've got more of a gap. So now we're in the center of our page. So you can see it's coming along quite nice. So the next thing I want to do is work on the footer.